Hit is great at getting in due to his quick dashes and teleports, however getting mileage from them requires meter and assists, which is why he's considered a secondary team member. I really don't like the term secondary because in this game your second character will have the most resources to use. Therefore, this should be your best character in which a team is built around. But for the sake of continuity, I'll continue to call this role secondary. His normals are a mixed bag to say the least. You have great range on your stand-in attacks, average aerial attacks, and a terrible low. While Hit doesn't have much in terms of projectiles, he can make your opponent think twice about trying to zone you out thanks to his counters. Without a doubt, Hit is all over the place during the match, and with proper setups, your opponent will have a really hard time keeping track of you regardless if they're familiar with the matchup or not. While having a strong 50-50 after a juggle, Hit isn't a combo monster and doesn't get a lot of damage from raw specials without blowing all kinds of meter. Please note that these stats are not taking into account unique team dynamics. First, let's talk about Hit's Vital stance. Vital, then the light attack will give you a quick dash ending with a fast punch that will recenter your opponent despite where you actually impacted them. Because Vital Light recenters your opponent on hit, you don't have to adjust your combo timing if they're airborne. Vital Medium does slightly more damage and travels a bit further, however it's slower, knocks your opponent across the screen, and counts as a smash attack. The only reason you'll ever use Vital Medium is when you're close to the corner. Vital Medium is a better replacement for standing heavy if you haven't used your smash attack yet. Vital Medium does not knock your opponent back fast enough to get that wall bounce in open space, unlike standing heavy. Because of the slower speed, Vital Medium will also be difficult to land in juggles. So aside from corner smash juggle starters, Vital Light's your best bet. Vital Heavy is an actual teleport with a launch and kick that's considered a smash. Unlike Vital Light and Medium that look like a teleport, but aren't really, Vital Heavy is a true teleport that has invulnerability at the start of the kick, so you can plow through supers and such. Because it counts as a smash attack, you should only use Vital Heavy to start combos. Naturally, like all heavy versions of specials, it uses a bar meter. And finally, pushing the special attack button during your stance will simply take you out of it. Moving along to the time stance, you're invincible to everything except for dragon rushes and command grabs. You also have no physical presence, as in your opponent can move right through you when you have the blue flames. Pushing light in your time stance will give you an attack called Time Release, which is a 3-hit attack string that somewhat tracks to your opponent's location. Time Release is very punishable on block, however it's very difficult to punish at a distance outside of being supered. Pushing up in light will give you an anti-downward attack. Down in light gives you an anti-upward attack, and neutral or forward gives you an anti-linear attack. You can order the attacks any way you want, and each attack can only be used once. If you try to use an attack that has already been used, it'll just cycle through the rest, giving the linear attack the most priority and the downward attack the least. Which is a good thing because a downward attack knocks your opponent to the ground, making it a lot easier to combo afterwards. Alright, so why am I going into detail about this attack when most Hit players just mash light without even directing it? If you're trying to hit an airborne opponent, you'll have to direct it or else you're gonna miss. This will play a major part later in the video. Time Medium is just like Vital Medium, except you go behind your opponent. So if your back is close enough to the wall, you can bounce them off it for a meterless combo starter since it's considered a smash attack. Obviously, the fact that you dash behind them makes this attack so much more useful than Vital Medium. I feel the need to state this again, this is not a teleport, you can get interrupted during your movement. Time Heavy, however, is just like Time Medium except it is a true teleport and has invincibility at the start of the attack, just like Vital Heavy. I feel like I have to talk more about this, but there's really nothing left to say. It's Time Medium, but better. And pushing specials simply takes you out of the stance. Hit's forward teleport will do up to 3 quick, completely invulnerable teleports before going into a stance of your choice, usually behind your opponent. You'll go into Vital stance by default. However, if you push medium or heavy at any point during your teleports, you're going to the time stance instead. This has a really quick startup, so you can use it to get out of some situations. Hit can also do 1 quick teleport backwards by inputting quarter circle back in special. It's completely invulnerable and you're safe coming out of it too, as in you can block immediately. Icy Glare's Hit's directable command grab that can be expanded by holding the button down before the catch. Light makes the ice originate from Hit himself. Medium makes the ice originate from slightly shorter than full screen's distance while not exceeding the corner. Heavy makes the ice originate from a bit further than half screen's distance, not exceeding the corner as well. If you're in a situation where you can use either the normal or the heavy if you haven't used your smash yet, spending the meter immediately on the heavy gives you a lot more damage since you don't have to use a vanishing attack afterwards. There's a lot of damage scaling on the vanishing attacks, by the way. First, an overview of the attacks you need to be thinking about in the respected ranges. At all ranges, you should always be thinking about his counter. It's what makes Hit unique from the rest of the cast, in the sense that you just can't have a mindless neutral against him at the risk of being comboed. While it's definitely acceptable to use his grounded counter, if you can, use the air counter because the grounded counter has a lot of damage scaling on it. Even if your counter is unsuccessful, your opponent will notice what you're doing and think twice about trying to zone you at a long range. One last note about the counter. You can be interrupted with the grounded counter and you only have linear movement. As in, if your opponent's above or below you and you counter, you'll still be in the same location, vertically speaking. When your opponent knows you're not afraid to use your counter at long range, you can sneak in a time stance to surprise your opponent here and there. Although time release is punishable on block, even at full screen, it's fairly unlikely that your opponent will do so as long as you use it with extreme moderation. Seeing as time release is very quick and tracks to your opponent, this opens the door to time medium mix-ups when your opponent's on the defense. Keep in mind that time heavy is a teleport with invulnerable frames, just in case you find yourself in the middle of all kinds of projectiles. But in general, if you're constantly getting attacked at full screen, they're not scared of your counter, so make them scared. Of course you can force your way in with this forward teleport dashes for some randomness, but be aware that things can go wrong, even if you use the meter for the time stance and the teleport kick. I didn't include the vanishing attack because it's dependent on your assist, and I believe that you need to know how to fight alone before fighting as a team. In the mid-range-ish area, standing medium is your best option. It's quick, has great range, the ideal whiff punisher, and goes in the various stages of your meta. You'll be seeing a lot of this attack throughout this video. A low air dash into a jumping medium is your best overhead option in case your opponent likes to crouch a lot. Damage scaling is a big factor, seen as a simple combo that normally does 45% will do 38% if you add a jumping medium at the beginning. That's a 7% damage decrease. If you pad the start with lights to make the combo easier to perform, you'll lose an additional 2%. Of course, 36% is better than nothing. However, if your opponent's not playing defense, it's much better to use a standing medium instead for the extra damage. The main purpose of a low air dash into a jumping medium is to ground your opponent, trapping them in a block stun so you can force a mix-up on them. Opponents who jump back to guard in general will be a nightmare for you to deal with if you don't have the proper setups. I won't go into the details here to punish chicken blocking, but know that getting in on your opponent with that low air dash medium to ground them is crucial. In general, you'd want to force a block stun mix-up, but it won't hurt to use a Dragon Rush here and there. Hit's low attack works in the same regard, as in it's not something to base your strategy around, seeing as it's really slow for a normal, but using it moderately will surprise your opponent from time to time. Regardless of how you play any one character, this is a team game, and having team synergy is a big factor in winning. In order to find the best team for you, you'll have to explore the best partners with the characters you like, then take into account which trio gives you the most synergy. Seeing as this is a video for Hit, I'm only going to be focused on who works well with Hit's core strategies. And just because Hit benefits greatly from a character does not mean that that character will benefit from Hit. This is a tier list for every assist currently in the game. Most of the point calculations are similar in the sense that if you can get a juggle afterwards, that's a point. If you can get a stand-in medium after the assist, that's an additional point. The reason being is because stand-in medium can go into whatever you want, so that's why it's important if you can connect one. If the timing's reasonable, that's another point. And on the other hand, if the timing's really difficult, they could lose a point. Other sections might have additional points or fewer, but I'll get to those when they come. And of course, if there's something special to note, I'll bring it up. Alright, so starting on the left we have the vanishing attack. Vanishing attacks are really good in general, but landing a raw vanishing attack doesn't really get you anything since it does little damage, you can't combo off of it normally, and it knocks your opponent across the screen. An assist that enables Hit to combo off of a raw vanishing attack are very beneficial for obvious reasons. Yamcha has a really strict timing, so he lost the point. While Nappa can't give you a medium, he does give you a crouching heavy, which that isn't a bad alternative. With Gotenks, you have to wait till after the final impact before attacking or else they'll pop up out of your combo. You also need to call him early. Considering both, he lost the point. It's possible to land a light into whatever you'd like with Goku Blue, but only at long range, and because it's so difficult to perform, I took a point away. Next up we have time medium extensions. You'd think the results would be exactly like the vanishing attack, but it's not. The consistency of following up on an airborne opponent was factored in. Cell got that last point because it's extremely rare that he'll miss at any range as long as you call him out before the attack. Icy Glare is pretty straightforward also. This is for a close range only, seeing as nobody can combo from across the screen. Okay, this next section is a big deal. This is the forced mix-up section, as in your opponent will be stuck in a block stun and will be forced to guess between a slightly delayed time release and a time medium after blocking a standing medium to a heavy. The general timing will be to call the assist when using heavy. The timing may change slightly depending on the assist, however if it's a drastic change I'll specify. A point was given if the block string can't be interrupted by an attack, another one if they can't jump out of it, another if it leads to a combo if they got hit initially, an additional point if it's a legitimate 50-50, as in chicken blocking won't save them from guessing. A bonus point can be given if the timing's easy, and another if mash and reflect doesn't work. Goku Blue getting a legit 50-50 is really random, or so it seems. He also can't combo on hit since it'll ground your opponent. Well, I mean you can super them, but meh. Vegeta needs to be called out early, and since his attack lasts a really long time, don't cancel into the time stance after heavy. Wait a few frames then go into the time stance manually. With Vegeta Blue, call the assist before the medium. This isn't a true block string, however if your opponent chicken blocks the assist, they're unable to block the time medium, which really doesn't make any sense, but that's how it is. The timing with Beerus is between the heavy and the vital stance. If done correctly, Beerus will impact twice. Despite the fact that there's a gap between the first two hits, your opponent can't chicken block out of it, and if your opponent tries to reflect, they still have to guess afterwards. With Gotenks, call him out slightly before the medium. On a side note, Reflect doesn't work against Cell, 16, Gotenks, and Beerus. Now we move to the anti-chicken blocking setup, which consists of a standing medium into heavy, cancelled into Vital Light. The small gap between heavy and Vital Light give your opponent enough time to start the jump, but not enough time to block. The assist timing is the same or just after you push Light for the Vital Light attack, and if the time varies greatly, I'll let you know. Since shutting down chicken blocking is such a big deal, 2 points are awarded if the standard medium connects after the assist, and an additional point if it combos off heavy smashes, and of course a point for reasonable timing. Vegeta needs to be called out after the heavy, but before the vital stance. Frieza whiffs on block, so he should probably lose a point, but since he hardly has any to begin with, I left him alone. Cell has to be called out in between the activation of Vital Stance and the attack with Light. Additionally, you also want to make sure that you hit your opponent after the assist, or else your opponent will go flying to safety. 21 can give you a standing medium, but the timing's so strict, just go with the low juggle instead. Gotenks must be called out slightly after the heavy attack, or else weird stuff can happen. Furthermore, try to use your medium just after the second hit of the assist, just to make sure that they don't pop out of your combo. Call out Beerus just a frame or two after Vital Light to ensure both hits connect. Beerus will leave the opponent a little too high, so it's better just to wait a few frames before attacking. Goku Blue's timing's also a frame or two after you push the button for Vital Light, but you have to make sure you quickly tap the assist button because your assist doesn't activate until you release the button, and if you don't release it quick enough it'll be too slow. The next section is the ability to extend the combo after a low juggle, such as after a specific assist that doesn't grant you a standing medium or if you caught someone out of the air. The height of the juggle actually plays a big factor for your assist timing, so you're gonna have to experiment a bit. As the chart shows, not many can extend with any consistency from my testing. Kid Buu can in fact get a stand in medium, but it's so difficult it's not advisable to go for it. Cell's timing is really tough and it hinges on the last hit of his assist missing. I really think that there's a way to get this more consistently, but I just haven't found it. Goku Blue can technically combo, but it's extremely hard. I mean, it took me almost an hour just to capture this extension no one's going to be able to use. The last section is a Dragon Rush extension. This is also straightforward. Who can combo after a Dragon Rush in the corner? Vegeta doesn't need the corner, he can combo in open space. Yep, everyone's surprised, I know. Yamcha, 16, and Goku Blue can get a stand in medium after you hit him with the medium on your way down. But it's really hard to do that, so they lost the point. Nappa, Ginyu, and Kid Buu can combo if you jump really quickly after you hit them with that fallen medium. And for Beerus, use a light before your medium. Well, there it is. Here's another quick shot of the chart. Aside from the Dragon Rush extensions, everything was tested in open space. And if it works in open space, it'll work in the corner. This will give you a good basis to begin constructing your team around Hit, and the tiers would change if you add additional elements like, well, something I didn't think of. Maybe I missed some stuff with the Gohans, maybe Krillin isn't completely useless to Hit, maybe we should go to the next section already. Before getting into more complicated combos, I first want to cover the general solo combo structure. Since a solo hit is extremely meter dependent in open space, it's best to think about his combos in two sections, before the vanishing attack, and after. Aside from a light auto combo, and of course a super dash from a heavy smash, you're gonna need a vanishing attack to finish your combo. Your initial combo starter can vary, but when you use the vanishing attack it'll bounce your opponent off the back of the screen and you have two main options. The easy route is to use a standing medium then jump cancel into your juggle. The more damaging extension is to slightly delay your light auto combo. If your opponent's a bit higher than normal after the vanishing attack, it's better to be safe, just use the easy extension. As far as the corner goes, you can combo meterlessly from your stances. Replace Vital Light with Vital Medium and that grants a combo if you haven't used the smash yet. A crouch and heavy smash cancelled into a time release gives you enough advantage to land a light auto combo. You have to delay the third hit of the light auto combo, but it's well worth getting the timing down since it'll give you 47% on hit. Now let's talk about your assist. As you already know from the neutral section, standing medium is going to be your ideal attack due to the range, hit confirmability, and what it leads to. You can usually achieve a 50% combo meterlessly if you have this energy. Feel free to use the assist tier chart to figure out which characters can help you extend your combos. The anti-chicken blocking section is the extension potential after Vital Light, and the low juggle section can be used as an alternative based off the property of your opponent after an attack or an assist. With Ginyu and Beerus I was able to score 50.3% damage, which is great because that's a 2 combo kill. Your typical 1-bar combo off of a standing medium is heavy, cancelled in a time release, vanishing attack, light auto combo, light light down heavy, double jump, light light heavy, and that'll get you 46%. A decent 1-bar assist combo will do about 55, this one specifically does 57. Seeing as a good assist based combo does over 50% meterlessly, there's really no need to spend the meter unless you have to. In general, it's best to use meter for the combos that don't utilize assist, or if you're trying to do a 70% plus combo to kill off a character. Hit specifically needs 2 bars to do a 50% combo without an assist in open space. And that combo would be the same as the previous 1-bar solo combo, just with the super at the end. Medium, heavy cancelled in the time release, vanishing attack, light auto combo, light light down heavy, double jump, light light cancelled into a super. This combo does 52%, while the easier version with the super at the end does 50.8%. Of course, in the midst of battle, you're not always going to be able to zone with the standing medium with your opponent moving and throwing all kinds of stuff at you. So you're most likely going to have to resort to buffering your medium with light attacks for hit confirmation and ease of use reasons. So let's take a look at a meterless combo extension with the jump in to lights buffered before the standing medium. This very same combo starting with the standing medium did 50.3%. And now it does 39% because of the jump-in. If we want to maintain the goal of 50% combos, we need to use some meter when coming in with the jump-in. By adding 2 supers at the end of a jump-in combo, we crossed the 50% threshold with 53%. But I changed the combo because knowing that I'm going to cancel in the Ginyu, I had to make sure my opponent was on the ground when I used my super. Based on what your team is, you may not have to do this when using multiple supers. Anyway, you can apply the same logic to other combo conversions, such as hits command grab or whatever. Usually with shorter combos, you have to use 3 supers at the end to get the desired result. And in this case we did, getting 53%. Use the chart to figure out which characters can extend your combos, whether it's a Vital Light or Dragon Rushes, for maximum results. Most of Hit's optimized combos result in a low juggle, which can provide an interesting setup afterwards. Instead of ending the juggle with the standard jump in heavy, use down heavy instead to knock your opponent higher. The logic behind this is to land considerably earlier than your opponent and go into your time stance to make them guess between a time medium and a time release. Since time medium isn't as fast as time release, you'd want to delay your time release to make the impact timing as close to each other as possible. Seriously, if this is done correctly, it's extremely difficult to tell where you're supposed to block. The lower to the ground the better, without actually letting them land. This prevents the randomness chicken blocking brings to the table. When using time release, make sure to aim it downwards or else you're going to miss the descending opponent. The juggle lead into the down heavy is a standard manual double jump combo. I personally use a modified juggle that increases the fall distance for more time to go into your time stance. Medium down heavy, double jump, light medium down heavy. In the event you're fighting against somebody who's really gutsy and techs downwards, they're going to be on top of you really fast, so some awkward face-offs might happen. For those that tech forward, they'll sail right over and switch sides with you, which can create some problems because instead of getting time stance, you're going to get icy glare. For this very reason, I always hold the medium button when going into time stance. If they tech up, back, or down, no worries, I just went into time stance and just happened to be holding the button. Nothing changed. But if they tech forward and crossed me up, I got icy glare instead. However, since I'm holding the button, icy glare didn't immediately dissipate and it's now spreading on the floor. By the time I recognize that my opponent teched forward, icy glare is spreading, so I continue holding the button and release it as soon as they touch the ground for the grab. The setup also works in the corner. Time medium works normally, however time release will always whiff, so instead just cancel out of your time stance and use a crouching heavy. Naturally, if you don't have the meter to finish off your opponent, you can always combo accordingly and put them right back in the same setup. All in all, this is a pretty strong setup that forces a 50-50 on your opponent, which could kill off a character if you have the meter. You need to be aware of dealing with little characters. In open space, standing heavy cancel the Vital Light doesn't connect on Krillin and Kid Buu. Go takes can be hit if you delay the Vital Light startup till after the wall bounce. And Kid Gohan will only get hit if you don't delay. When catching low altitude small characters with time release, sometimes the game won't let you do the third attack. I don't know why exactly this happens, however against small characters it's safer just to use your vanishing attack after the first hit of time release. Once again, from what I've experienced, time release only behaves oddly in this very specific low altitude situation. Normally, this is where I'd say our next video would be out soon, without taking into account our work schedules. Thanks for checking out the guide.